Hi, I'm Claire Nicole Waddick and I'm at the Waterloo Potters Workshop. I'm going to show you how to use our slab roller. How to take a solid ball of clay like this and end up with a beautiful slab like this that you can make into all kinds of different things. All right, I've got a ball of clay here and I'm going to get it ready for the slab roller. It's a little bit over 4 pounds. It's already been wedged, as you can see, and we're using the white wedging table. So there's a couple of things I need to do to prepare this for the slab roller. The first thing is I have to make it a lot thinner. I can't take a ball of clay like this and put it on the slab roller. It can't handle it. And also, I'm not going to get a very good result. My slab won't be in the best condition if I did that. So what I'm going to do is slam it. And that's just the easiest way to take that ball and make it into something that's a lot thinner and more manageable for the slab roller. Now, when I put some clay in the slab roller, what happens is the slab roller stretches the clay out in one direction. So the length will change, but the width actually won't. And so that is something I have to bear in mind when I'm deciding what the size and shape is of this clay before I put it in the slab roller. So if I wanted to make a rectangle, a rectangular slab, then I want to start with a square shape of clay, and I want the width of it to be the width that I want to end up with. So say I know that I need a rectangle that is, how wide is that? I need a rectangle that's at least 8 inches wide. Then I need to make my slab 8 inches wide before I put it in the slab roller. And you can see I've got a few little wrinkles here. That's just from the wedging process, so I'm going to smooth those away. And this is now ready to put in the slab roller. But let's say I want to have a round slab come off there, circle. Then I need to start with a circle. Okay, so I've got my ball of clay and you can see I wedged it, and this is where the spiral is. I want to make it into the kind of shape that will give me a circle after it comes off the slab roller. So what I need to make right now is an oval. So you can see I've got an oval shape here. The thickness is relatively consistent. And I'm going to put it into the slab roller so that it gets stretched in this direction. So this width isn't going to change. So a lot of the time when you're going to be rolling a slab, you're going to start with some pugged clay that's never been used. And the easiest way to deal with that is just to take a slice off of this solid block, whatever size you need, and then take that and have that go through the slab roller. So what I want to do is slice a piece that's somewhat even in thickness, as close as I can get. And I'll just flip this around. You can see it's pretty close on both sides. And now what I want to do is pull the wire out so that I get a nice straight cut here. But what happens is when I'm pulling this wire down, it's actually shaped like this. It's making an arc shape inside the clay. So what I have to do is zig and zag it back and forth, and that'll make the wire come straight across, and then I just cut across. And you can see I've got a pretty nice even cut. And now I've got a nice size and shape of clay to prepare for the slab roller. So this slab is still a bit thick, and I also want to think about what is the size of the width of the slab that comes off. I don't want a perfect square. I want this to be more of a rectangle so that after it comes off the slab roller, it's been stretched out, it'll be closer to a square. If I put a square into the slab roller, I end up with a rectangle. So what I'm going to do is just roll this out. And now I've got a slab that's pretty uniform in thickness, and it's pretty close to a rectangle. And I'm going to put this through the slab roller so that it gets stretched in this direction, and I'll end up with something that's pretty close to a square. I'd like to introduce you to our slab roller. It's old, but it works. It's a little fussy though. Don't put pieces of clay in there that are too thick or too hard, or it will damage the roller. It will need to be repaired. We don't want that to happen. So I'm going to just walk you through some of the steps you need to follow. First off, we're going to talk about the different parts. So there's a piece of canvas that goes underneath the roller. Your clay is going to go in here. And this is actually attached to the slab roller itself. It can't come off. Then under that, we've got a piece of masonite that has canvas attached to it. So this board is going to stay in here all the time. But underneath this one, there's some more boards. And what you do is you change the number of boards in here to give you the height that you want to have for this top board. And that controls how thick your clay is going to be when you use the roller. So I'm going to show you how to add and remove the masonite boards that control the thickness of your slab. When the boards are not in use, they're stored against the wall here. And what I like to do is find the midway point and rest it on my hip. And that way I'm able to hold it with one arm. And then if I remember, I try and lift this up beforehand, and then I can slide this guy in there. It's a lot easier to slide in this bottom one if I'm holding onto this one. And now I'm ready to roll a slab. But say I decided I want to take one out. This is how you take it out. It's just the same operation in reverse. I get my hand inside this handle, I'm pulling it out to about the midpoint, get it on my hip, flip it around, and then just slide it back under there. And we're good. So the canvas that's attached to this slab roller, we want to keep it clean. So when you're rolling a slab, you want to have a separate piece of fabric that your clay sits on. Never put your clay directly on this canvas or even this top sheet. So I like to use pillowcases because they have a very fine weave and they're the perfect size to go in the slab roller. So I've got this little piece here just to run as a test so you can see what will happen when I run this through. And this way we know exactly how thick the slab will be for the bigger piece when I put it through. So the important thing, you can see I'm doing it, is I'm smoothing all of this fabric so it doesn't form any wrinkles, which will cause creases in my clay. And then I just start turning the crank. You want to turn the crank at a steady pace. If you stop partway through, it can actually leave a thinner spot in the clay. And You can see our slab is quite thick, and that's because there's 2 of these boards missing. I actually want to make a slab that's thinner than this, so what I can do is add another board. So now I'm going to put my big slab on there. And you may have noticed there's a little tear here in the canvas. So what I like to do is make sure that I've placed my clay so that that tear won't be on top of my clay and leave a mark. See, there's where the tear is. So you can see I've been able to get a shape that's pretty close to a circle from that oval that I started with, so that's good. The best slabs have been passed through a couple of times. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to turn it over and rotate it. This means that the compression is going to be more consistent through the slab. So now I'm going to roll some red clay. So it's important that I have a different cloth because the white and red clay you want to keep from contaminating each other. So this slab, I want to end up with something that is fairly rectangular, and I'm just going to do one pass, so it's important to get it right. If you take a look at this slab, you can see that it's more of a rectangular shape on this side and more rounded here. So what I'm going to do is flip it over so that this straighter edge is the one that the roller hits first, and then that's going to slide all the clay along this way. My width isn't going to change very much, but I will end up with something that's more rectangular. If I had it the other way, this is going to make it a rounded shape on the other side. So the roller runs on cables, and if you put clay that's too thick or too hard in there, it can misalign it on the cables. And ideally what you do is you roll it all the way to the end every time, and then roll it all the way back. And you can see I've got a slab that's pretty close to a rectangular shape, and I can take this to work on it now. So here's my slab that I just made on the slab roller, and you can see that there are some wrinkles in here. That's actually from my pillowcase, so I need to get rid of those. So I'm just gonna smooth away those wrinkles from my pillowcase. And I also want to smooth the entire slab, and this is the compression that's really important to make sure that the slab is going to behave, I guess is the best way to put it. The clay gets stretched unevenly when it goes through the roller. The top of the slab and the bottom of the slab haven't been stretched in the same way, and that actually forms a memory in the clay particles. And if I compress the clay, that helps to erase that and make sure that whatever form I make with this clay, hopefully it will stay in that form and it won't curl back to the shape that it remembers from being stretched unevenly. So I'm using a black rubber rib. Doesn't really matter what rib you use for this. You can use a wooden one. You can use one of these smooth metal ribs. My favorite actually are the polymer ribs in red. They're the softest and they give you the smoothest surface. Now, if you really like the texture of a fabric on your clay, then at this point you would put that on. There is a bit of a texture that came off my pillowcase and that's been smoothed away. But I like smooth clay, so I'm happy now. With this, it's ready for me to use. When you have a fairly big slab, often what happens is it's not going to be perfectly consistent thickness across the whole slab on the roller that we have. If that's something that you need, a very consistent thickness, then after you take it off the slab roller, you'll want to roll it again with a rolling pin, and you can use some wooden slats or something similar that will make sure that the thickness is consistent. So the first thing is I'm going to take it off of my pillowcase. You can see how I flipped that over. I didn't, I tried to reduce the amount of flexing that happens. I don't kind of peel it off, I flip it. And I can put my slats here on either side. And now I'm going to have a slab that's a consistent thickness across. This is the point where I might notice I've got some air bubbles. I can see that I've got one here. So I just pop that with my pin tool and compress, and that'll take care of that problem. Now the other thing I want to do is compress the whole slab before I make it into something, because I want to make sure that all those clay particles are all aligned. And I need to do this on both sides. What some people like to do is roll the slabs here at the workshop and take them home and work on them at home. Or maybe you've rolled the slabs, you've run out of time to finish using them all. You need to wrap the slabs up. Keep them moist so that you can continue working with them later. I'm going to show you how to do that. You need to get a board, first of all, that is bigger than your slab of clay. I'm just using some kitchen garbage bags. It doesn't matter what kind of plastic it is. You just want to make sure that it's bigger than your board. And I lay my slab on there. Plastic on top. And then just tuck the plastic underneath the board. It's important that there's plastic between the clay and the board, because you don't want the board to be absorbing moisture from your clay. And then this whole thing can just be put on the shelf until later. Now, see, you got more than one slab. Then what you want to do is put a sheet of newspaper on the first slab, and then add the next one, and then wrap that up in plastic just like before. Now, if it's going to be left for a little while, you probably want to add some extra layers of plastic. And if you're going to be leaving it I don't know, for more than a couple days, then you might even want to put some newspaper between the clay and the plastic, because that'll help prevent condensation happening, which will make the clay get really moist just where it's touching the plastic. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you at the Waterloo Potters Workshop sometime soon.